Hi, and welcome to episode 2 of Java Tutorials. Today we're going to be talking about Boolean expressions and conditional statements, which are very closely related. So, one thing that I left out of my variable video was the type Boolean, and that's because we're going to talk about it here. So this is going to serve as a bit of a review for variables, but also learning some new stuff about Booleans and Boolean expressions, and by extension, conditional statements. So, right away, what we have is a new type to deal with. So, Boolean is a type for a variable, and it holds either true or false. So, we'll name our variable true, false, and we'll just set it equal to true for now. But you don't always want to set things equal to true or false. Sometimes you want to compare two things and see if your comparison is correct or not. So, I'll show you an example here. It's not going to be a particularly useful example, or it could be, but right here it's just for show. So 3 is greater than 2. So that's a true statement. So currently, in our variable true false, it has the variable true. So I'll put some system.out.print in here so that you can see that how the variable changes as we go. So the other thing we can do is say, well, 3 is less than 2, which is false. So when we print, we should get true, true, false. And you see that we do. So these here are Boolean expressions right here. And they are expressions that are either true or false. Now, there are a couple of other ways that we can do Boolean expressions. If you want to see if one thing equals something else, you use two equal signs. So 3 equals 4. Now, this is obviously going to be false because 3 does not equal 4. But one thing that's important to note is that we are using equals here. Not a single equal sign, but two. One equal sign is used for assigning values. This is equal to this. Two equal signs is more like asking a question. Is this equal to this? And then if it is true. If it is not, it is false. So we'll have, now when we print it out, it will be true, true, false, false. Alright. And now we can get into conditional statements. So, what a conditional statement is a segment of code that will only be executed if the conditions are met. So the first thing we have is an if statement. So you'll notice that I ended the line here with a curly brace, or a brace, or curly bracket, some people call them. So what that does is it sort of groups the code between this and the next brace, which is down here. So that's all grouped in one way or another, and you'll see what I mean soon. And in here, inside of these parentheses, what we need is a Boolean expression. So what we can do is we can say if 2 is equal to 2, then all this code in here will be executed. So this is sort of a, if this is true, then do this stuff. All this stuff in between these braces. Otherwise, skip this stuff and just go to the next line of code down here. So because 2 does equal 2, whatever is written in here will be executed. So 2 does equal 2. So it will do true, true, false, false, and 2 does equal 2. Now, if this was a false statement, if 2 is equal to 3, which it is not, you'll notice that we do not have that in this little output dialog box down here. It doesn't print out 2 does equal 2 because it skips this code because this is not true. And it will go directly to the other brace. Now what we have is the else statement. So the else statement sort of encompasses everything that the if statement does not. So if the if statement is not executed, the things in the else statement will be executed. So in here we can have 2 does not equal 3. So we have this if-else structure. So you'll notice that it skips this segment of code, goes directly to this segment of code, and prints this out. Now, if I were to make this a true statement, 2 equals 2, 2 is equal to 2, then you'll notice that only the if statement goes, and it skips over the else statement. 2 does equal 2. So, that can be useful for if you want something to happen, but only under certain conditions. The other thing we can do is this thing called an else if statement. So else if means it's the same thing as an if statement, except the difference is instead of going, so if this is not true, then check to see if this is true. So it's another if statement, but you only go to it if this is not true. And you can stack these, so you can have else if and then another else if. So 3 equals 5. 2 is less than 4. And if any of those are true, then the things inside of them will be executed, but nothing else will be. And because Java reads line by line in order, what will happen is it will say, oh, this statement is true. So then it will jump all the way to the end of this last else statement. But if this is not true, then it will check to see, okay, is this one true? And because this one is not true, it will jump to this one. Is this one true? Yes, this one's true. So you do not go, so you execute the code that's in here, and then you skip to the end of the else statement. So that's pretty much it. That's conditional statements. The only other couple things that we can do here are if this is the less than symbol right here, but we can also change it to a less than or equal to symbol. And the same thing with the greater than symbol. If 3 is greater than 2, now it's if 3 is greater than or equal to 2. So in here, what we can do is instead of just saying is equal to, we can also say the opposite. If 3 is not equal to 4. And then we can have these sort of compound Boolean expressions. So in here, we can do if 2 is equal to 3, and if we press shift backslash twice, we get these, which represents or. So if 2 is equal to 3, or if 9 is equal to 8, which is also not a true expression, then do this. So if this is true, or if this is true. So that's sort of a compound expression. And the other thing we can do is if we put in two ampersands, so shift 7, that's the AND operator. So else if 3 is equal to 5 and 3 is equal to 6, neither of which will ever happen, then we execute what's in this code. So the idea is that you can have multiple controls to whether or not something happens. And so that's everything for conditional statements and Boolean expressions. So we have a new type, we have conditional statements, we have Boolean expressions. Thanks for watching.